Hmm. Hey, hey, hey. I'm back. So, yesterday, I talked about the independent artist month questions. Of course, it's still Independent Artist Month. It'll be all month long. So, just get used to it. Settle in. I'm going to talk about it every single day. Um, so I had a anyway, when I was talking yesterday, one of the questions asked me, what was something that I grieved or like a grieved opportunity, something of that nature. And I felt like I talked about a whole gang of them. Talked about the chance I missed to work with Heavy D, chance I missed to work with this group that I won't say their name. Another chance to work with the Jerkins, like, and then and then I stumbled upon another one that I'd forgotten about. Um, and all of this stemmed from the other question, which was, what does my art know about me that most people don't? And when people see me on stage, they see my performance or whatever, they assume that I just have this boatload of confidence and all of that. But my self-esteem is pretty, I should say my insecurities kind of take over a lot of times. When I was at Howard, that was also a big thing. I was sharing with somebody that the majority of the people that I knew from Howard, if they weren't in the choir with me, they didn't really know that I sang, because I've never been the kind of like, oh, by the way, this is what I do. And so I was just a little reluctant to share. And I think that was because of my own insecurities, especially being at Howard. The Mecca had lots of talent, lots of beautiful people in general. And so anyway, I just got a flashback of a story I was telling about Howard. Anyway, and so the insecurity thing has been there for a long time. And the other area that I remembered that I missed an opportunity due to that, like I needed to get out of my own way at this time, but I didn't. It took me a while to get to this place where I'm finally like, embracing what's for me is for me, not worried about what anybody else got going on. I think I started talking about it yesterday, that I feel like I'm in competition with myself and not anybody else. People like to try to pit you against people, but that's not who I am. But at any rate, the opportunity that I was reminded of was my former production partner, Debbie Nelson Thomas. I'm not sure which one she was going by at the time, but at any rate, she had introduced me to somebody she went to school with, and who had a lot of success as a producer. His name is Troy Taylor. And those that know anything about R&B, of course, he's been very instrumental in a lot of different artists in launching them, and major hits. And at the time, Trey's songs hadn't come out yet. Yeah, I don't think Trey's songs had come out yet, but he had told me about him. And so, she introduced me to him over the phone. He invited me over to the home studio that they had. And, I left there feeling like, okay, cool. This is it. This is a good deal. He gave me some songs to write to, and I had a timeline to finish them. Now, back then, I was the kind of person that if I was feeling it, I could probably write 2 or 3 songs in a day. Obviously it wouldn't be pristine, but it would be like the foundation would be there, and it would be enough to build a track around or whatever. But I was so stuck. I guess, I don't know if it was fear or insecurity, or, because I was thinking like, what if I send this to him and he listens to it and he's like, oh, this is trash. Like, what is she even doing at my house, and so I spent too much time thinking about that. And I remember I was like okay, well, maybe I'll just call him and let him know that, I need a little bit more time. And he I never called him. To this day, I never called him. I allowed my fear, or whatever that was, to get in the way of a potential opportunity. And I remember one of the tracks that he gave me, he wanted to pitch it to Mr. Biggs. Mr. Biggs wasn't even like a major, Ron Isley hadn't really taken on that full persona yet. And I think that that's what, they were working on in this one track. And he doesn't know this, but I actually wrote a song to it. But I got too scared to send it to him. I don't even know if I still have it. I doubt that I do. The mediums in which we recorded and things we did during that time. Obviously we moved on from that. Like back then, I think we were recording, at one point I was recording on reel to reel with Deb. She'll remember. We were using reel to reel because we couldn't afford to get multiple ADATs. Or even DA-88s at that time. So the reel to reel was like the cheapest we could, anyway. That's a story for another time. Some of y'all are like, what is a reel to reel? What is that? Anyway, saying all that to say that I actually took the time to write the song, and I got in my own way of being able to just submit it. And the worst he could say was no. But I guess I just wasn't ready for the rejection. So if there's anybody that is at the sound of my voice, and and I say this in my shows all the time, if there's something that you are pursuing or something that you want to do, and you're just sitting on it and you haven't executed, whatever it is, you haven't flipped that switch yet, I'm saying to you, I do believe that it's never too late to get started, but you got to start. And that's the key thing, don't do as I did, in that case, in that situation, because who knows what could have happened from that. Even if, he didn't like the track that I wrote or whatever, that relationship could have been probably nurtured a lot more, instead of me to this day not having called him. And I haven't seen him since. And I don't even know if he even remembers me at this point. But if there's anything that I learned from that, and that is, don't let fear or whatever it is get in the way of opportunities. And so again, if you're sitting on a book that you're trying to write, if it's a clothing line, if it's a smoothie company, whatever it is, yes, it's going to be tough. Yes, being an entrepreneur is not for the weak. But a post that I put up on my IG the other day, if you don't try, you really are not going to win. And I'm paraphrasing, but like, if you don't try it, then you'll never know, and if you don't ask, the answer will always be no, because you never even tried. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because in that moment when I was sharing my answering that question, for a second, I felt, I don't even know how to describe it, but I felt this, I guess it's probably vulnerability, that because I'd never shared that in public before, about the insecurities and all of that. And so I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then I skipped right past it and didn't dig deeper. And I think that's probably why it was still on my mind last night and this morning, that, I'll just say my mode of operations right now is to be authentic, to be transparent, not worry about what anybody thinks about whatever. And of course, that's easier said than done sometimes. But, I had an opportunity yesterday to be full-fledged transparent, and I raced up out of that biatch. So, um, so I just wanted to kind of double back, come back and have that conversation. Thank you for saying that, VBG. I appreciate you. Oftentimes people, and even people you're closest to, will tell you that it's too late, because there's whatever standard that people have, which is why I don't compete with anybody. Because if I need to compete with a 20-year-old that's doing the same thing that I'm doing, or not even really doing the same thing I'm doing, but that's in the industry or whatever, like that's not apples to apples, first of all. And second of all, if I got time to be looking over in their backyard, then I'm not looking at my own enough. That's just the way I feel. So, but yeah, so I wanted to come back and be transparent about that particular question that kind of threw me for a loop. I don't even think maybe I did read it before I went live, but I don't think I read it thoroughly. So when I read it live, I was like, whoa, that's where we going today. So I was a little thrown off. But in a way, I'm glad to be able to share it, because maybe whoever's listening may have their own thing that they just need to get off their chest and get that weight off of you. Because I think, aside from even having the insecurity, the weight of that is not healthy. It's really not, especially when there's another meme that I saw that, on the other side of fear is your dreams. On the other side is what you've been praying for. It's what you've been, wanting for your whole life. And if you allow that fear to get in the way, it's like, you know, you can't blame anybody but yourself, basically, is what I'm getting at. So with that said, if there's anything, and I want this to be, going forward, I want this to be a safe space. So if anybody that's watching, even if you're not watching the live feed, and you happen to watch my video, and there's something that perhaps you haven't shared about yourself, because you, for whatever reason, let the chat, the comment section be your opportunity to just let it off your chest. This is a no judgment zone. So whatever it is, believe me, you'll feel so much better when you get it off your chest. I'll just leave that there. I had another question. I think I had one or two questions that I was going to answer as well that came in. So there was somebody asked, what was my first concert that I attended? My first concert, I always say that it was a Luther Vandross concert, but it was actually the Commodores, and Luther was opening for them. And both of them are major. I listen to them all the time. I'm dating myself, but back in the day, my mom had to go to the grocery store or whatever, I'd stay home and listen to music, and I'd pop in the 8-track of the Commodores. And you couldn't tell me when they played Slippery When Wet, you couldn't tell me I wasn't actually playing a guitar. Anyway, that's a little too much oversharing, because video is forever ever. So anyway, yes, I did that. That was definitely, so I listened to the Commodores. I knew all their songs. And so when the opportunity presented itself for me to go to this concert, my mother at first was like, well, who's going to pay that kind of money for a 9-year-old to go see, a concert? Like, who's going to pay that kind of money? And my godfather said him, and he did. And so he bought us tickets to go to see Luther Vandross and the Commodores at the Greek Theater in LA. And it was, it was mind blowing to be able to see Luther in his prime, the showmanship, the way that he just vocally just, if Luther was the truth. And I have another Luther story that I will share at another time because I run out of time for today. But yeah, so that was my first concert, and I've been spoiled ever since, because when I go to a concert, obviously I want to have good seats. And if I don't, I'd rather not go. And call me what you want. But yes, I prefer to have a really good seats. I wear glasses, but I don't want to have to wear them when I go to the concert. I want to just, I want to be immersed in the feeling and all that. But at any rate, I thank you all for chiming in and taking the time to listen to me. Again, it's Independent Artist Month. Do what you can to support artists, and you can do that by following them on social media, finding out where they're finding out where they're selling their music, whether it's their website, whether it's Bandcamp, like myself. And yes, you can stream, but the thing that we're trying to get people to understand is streaming is great because I know it's convenient for the consumer, but as it relates to the artist, we don't see that money. We don't see that money. That's the bottom line. It's very nominal what we get from that. So with that said, do your part to support independent artists, and I will see you next time.